Dear friends in Jesus Christ, we can probably all think of a certain initiatives we took in the past that turned out to be very significant for both ourselves and to others. There is a sense in which it is true to say that we can make things happen. There are initiatives that only I can take, and if I don't take them, something worthwhile that would come from such initiatives will simply would not happen. This holds true in all areas of our lives, including our relationship with the Lord. There are initiatives we can take to deepen that relationship and to live our baptism more fully. There are other initiatives we can take that would weaken the relationships. Every so often in life, opportunities come our way to grow in our relationship with the Lord, and if we take the initiative to seize those opportunities, we will be the better for it. The figure of Zacchaeus in today's gospel is an example of someone who took the initiative to seize such an opportunity when it came his way. Here was a person whose public profile was very negative. Because of his occupation as a tax collector, people identified him as a sinner. As someone in the pay of the Roman occupying forces, he was presumed to be a cheat who had acquired his wealth by exploiting his own people. As a sinner, it was believed that he did not have any relationship with the Lord. Yet, in labeling him a sinner, people have gravely underestimated him. Yes, he was far from the perfect, but there was within him what St. Paul calls in today's second reading desires for goodness. He was not content with the person he was. There was a kind of restlessness in him, a longing for something more. This restlessness led him to take an initiative when an opportunity arose. He had heard about Jesus' reputation as a man of God, and when Jesus was passing through Jericho, Zacchaeus ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him. That action of running and climbing expressed his strong desire to grow towards goodness, to deepen his relationship with God. Zacchaeus' initiative placed him within eye contact of Jesus. In response to Zacchaeus' initiative, Jesus took initiative of his own, calling Zacchaeus by name and desiring to him, "I must stay at your house today." Jesus led to him not as a sinner to be avoided, but as someone who had desire for goodness. Jesus engaged with his deepest desire rather than with his public reputation. He went on to publicly declare that Zacchaeus was more than a sinner. He was a son of Abraham. He must have been considered a lost cause by many people, but the Lord saw that his heart was pointing in the right direction. The view that most people had of Zacchaeus did not do him justice, whereas Jesus' vision of him was much more generous and truer to the reality of his life. The Lord's vision of us is always more generous than the view that we tend to have of ourselves, or indeed the view of others might have of us at times. The first reading today puts it well. You, Lord, love all that exists. You hold nothing of what you have made in abhorrence. The Lord recognized the desires for goodness that we are deeply embedded in us, and He responds to them whenever we give expression to them. Whatever initiative we might take in keeping with those desires will be matched by an even greater initiatives from the Lord towards us. He alone can satisfy our desire for goodness. And if we are faithful to those desires, and He will not fail us. If Zacchaeus had taken the perception that other people had of him at face value, he would never have climbed the tree. Zacchaeus teaches that to be true to what is best within us, even though it may not be obvious at times to ourselves and to others. Yes, dear friends, in Jesus Christ, our being true to our desires for goodness can sometimes lead us to do something a little bit unconventional. Climbing a tree would have been considered very unconventional for a man of the professional stature of Zacchaeus. He literally went on a limb. There are times when we too might need to go out on a limb if we are to meet the Lord fully. In the culture in which we live, taking initiative to deepen our relationship with the Lord can be regarded as somewhat at odds. There can be all kinds of subtle pressure on us to hold back and to conform to what is considered acceptable. The Lord, however, went out to climb for us. He laid down His life on a cross to draw us Himself. Sometimes He asks us to go out on a limb for Him to take extra step in keeping with our desires for goodness. Whenever we do, we discover that the Lord had already taken bigger step towards us, because He remains the Son of Man who came to seek out and to save the lost.